Stop.
Fuck.
We're recording?
Not sound.
In this episode of Page to Screen Roundtable discussions, viewer discretion is advised, as some topics may be triggering and unsuitable for younger audiences. Please be sure to check the trigger warnings in the description below.
All right. So, welcome. It's me, Tami, from The World According to Tami. And I have a familiar face, if you are familiar with my channel.
Hi, I am Megan. I'm from the Book Attic, where my kittens will know me from. And today we are doing something that kind of takes us back to our roots.
Yeah, so when we started, we were doing talking movies together. We really liked that. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of separated. We're doing our own things. Meg was doing books. I'm still doing movies. But we kind of missed that collaboration. And so we are back together doing what we're calling a page-to-screen adaptation. And we're going to be talking about books that have been adapted into television, movies, things like that, or books that we wish would be adapted.
That's kind of where we're at for this first one. We are still kind of figuring out the kinks for these roundtable discussions, which, I don't know if you can see this, but the table here is round.
So we're not quite the bitches of the round table.
Oh, we're going to have to bleep that.
That's okay.
But anyway, so we are just wanting to do some fun discussions about the things that we're both passionate about. And I've missed filming with you like crazy, so this is a good thing for us.
Yep.
And what better one to start with than the book that we are both obsessed with, the series.
Yes.
That kind of just cemented that, oh, okay, you're my person. I'm going to call you if I have a dead body in my living room kind of person, you know?
Pretty much. Just,
throwing that out there.
Yeah, we both love police procedurals. And this is, and also sci-fi. So this is a blend of both of them. And it is the In Death series by famed novelist J.D. Robb.
Also known as Nora Roberts for those bibliophiles out there. And this series is over 50 books strong, you guys. She is seriously got the magic formula. She's very prolific. She puts out at least 3 books a year, sometimes more. And at least 2 of those are going to be part of this series every year.
Yeah. She has 50 books plus some short story anthologies, which we're not even discussing. We're just discussing the 50 plus books.
Main story books. And one of the fun things that we want to do today is we're going to cast the first novel because we want to see it brought to either the little screen or the big screen, one of the two. It has so much potential and it needs to happen.
Absolutely.
So starting with the actual book itself, it's called Naked in Death, and it tells the story of Eve Dallas, a homicide detective who is struggling in her job. She ends up coming off of a really horrible case and being pulled into another one where a senator's granddaughter has been brutally murdered, and she will do everything she can to solve it. But getting in her way is the very handsome and delicious Rourke, the billionaire business mogul who has a very shady past and is someone Eve really shouldn't be tangling with. But together, they will become this great epic thing.
Yeah. So one of the things about this series is you can pretty much pick up any book in this series, but we recommend at least reading the first 3.
Absolutely. That's where you're going to get your base. You're going to meet your core characters. And honestly, I think I fell in love with the entire series by book 2. I loved it first one, but...
Yeah, by book 3, you're now in it, and all of our main characters are... have been really introduced, and we are brought into the world of the NYPSD, which is the New York Police and Security Department, in 2060. 2058.
The first one is 2058, but then it goes into the 2060s.
So one of the nice things is it is very formulaic in the sense that it is a police procedural. But whereas if you were watching, say, Law and Order, it the characters change every book and they grow in every story.
And that's really important, especially if you're going to have a story that goes, or a series that goes on this long, because you don't want to just be sitting there reading the same book over and over. There is so much character development that happens gradually. There are some huge focuses on growth in certain books. Not all of them. All of them do tell an overall story, but like Tami was saying, you can pretty much pick up any one after the first 3 or 4-ish and read it from there. You may get confused on a couple of things, but really it's kind of, you can gloss over them for the most part.
Yeah. What I like is the story is internally consistent.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
One of the things that's kind of funny is they're called Yannies. Yet another Nora inconsistency. There are certain things that hardcore fans of this series will pick out and just say, hey, this was this in one book and then this in another. And it's just something so freaking tiny that it doesn't really affect anything, but it's kind of fun.
Good to know. I had no idea.
But that's the last thing I focused on when I was doing the last listen to, because I'm obsessed with the audiobooks. Susan Erickson is an amazing audiobook narrator. Just saying, there's a plug. We are not sponsored by Audible, but check it out.
We would love to be sponsored by Audible.
We would love it.
Hint, hint.
Yeah.
But that being said, one of the things that I really like about the story, I'm a huge sci-fi junkie. I love sci-fi. But when this started back in the early to mid 90s, she was prescient almost in terms of some of the things that we are seeing now that she was writing about in the 90s, talking about stuff that was happening in another 40 years. So if that's not mind-bending, I don't know what is.
One of the big things is the Urban Wars.
The Urban Wars, and that's where I was going with that. So the Urban Wars were a series of a global uprising, and it not just affected the United States, but literally a global war. You know, urban versus rural versus the haves, the have-nots, which is very prescient now, which is in the story, the urban wars happened in about 2020.
Look at where we are now.
Especially with the Black Lives Matter, the Capitol riots. There's a lot that is very relevant in terms of how the stuff that happened in the story is definitely holding up a mirror to our society. So that's one of the things that I like. I wish personally, as a fan of the series, that we would go more into the Urban Wars, but can't have everything that we want.
Exactly. You never know, though. They may throw in a book here or there about it and have to solve like a murder that happened during the war. That would be kind of mind-bending.
That would be fun.
So one of the things that I love about the story, I love sci-fi. One of my favorite movies is a sci-fi movie. We're not going to go into that because that's not what today is about. But there are some awesome things in this world. The auto chef.
I want one so bad. So bad.
It makes your food for you.
Yeah. And I hate cooking, but I love to eat. So anything that I can do to make my life easier and allow me to be lazy when it comes to food preparation, I am all for it. Auto chef's rule. I want one so bad. So bad.
Another thing that's kind of fun but terrifies me at the same time, because hello Skynet, Terminator fans out there, you know what I'm talking about, are the droids, the androids.
Yeah, well, I mean, with what the technology that is happening now, especially in Japan when it comes to the robots that they're building, the AI technology that is happening right now with facial recognition, all that kind of stuff, it is very part of the world that we are in now, but it's also very part of the world of the in-depth.
Yeah, I think that there's so much going for this series that we could sit here and we could talk for hours about every little detail, and we would be just happy as clams here. But let's move into the casting choices.
Oh, we're not there yet.
Not there yet?
No.
Oh, I'm jumping the gun.
You
okay. What are we doing now?
The unrealistic expectations when it comes to relationships.
I'm sorry. I don't have that problem because I am asexual. You, however, are.
I don't know about you, but this book definitely has a lot of sex. I'm okay with that. But there is definitely that unrealistic expectation where we're just like, gosh darn it, why can't I meet somebody like Rourke? Or any of the characters in there, because they're almost perfect, but not quite. But they definitely have their quirks and things that are just very, like, but...
Yes. Another thing, I'm glad you stopped me because I would have just trucked ahead and we would have missed something that's huge in the in-death world. Licensed companions.
Yes. So basically prostitution is legal, which I think is a fantastic idea.
Well, they're screened and regulated and you have to be licensed. And it's for their protection as much as their client's protection.
Yeah, that's the thing that I feel bad about sex workers now, is that...
It's so stigmatized.
It is.
Still.
And there is no, it's considered illegal. They have no legal protections. And if they are attacked or beaten or something like that, they can't say anything. And this is also why sex workers are often victims of violent crimes, because they're very vulnerable. And there's still, I think there's an innate vulnerability that happens with somebody who's a sex worker, but they at least have the protections in this world. But the thing that I really liked was the fact that men and women are both considered licensed companions. They can be, and they can choose to be licensed for men or women or both or groups or anything. And the therapy part is also considered a big deal. So much like professional sex therapists, that's kind of what they are on top of the sex.
Yes. And like I was saying, it's been stigmatized. Being a licensed companion, I'm not going to say the actual word here, that we use in our everyday world. It's the oldest profession. I mean, it's talked about in the Bible.
Yeah.
But there's such that stigma about it that just drives me crazy. But one thing that I do think, we're kind of heading in the right direction is people claiming their sexuality, confidence, independence through sites like OnlyFans. They get to dictate what they do. And I'm all for, if it makes you feel good, feel confident, and you're not hurting anybody, and you're not doing anything with people who are too young, you are good.
Yeah. Well, and they have that control over their own bodies. I mean,
exactly.
We are in society today. There's definitely, especially here in the United States, there is definitely, I hate to say it, a rather puritanical culture when it comes to sex. And, here in the state of Utah, I have teenagers. Well, they're not teenagers anymore, but they were going.
Still considered a teenager.
One of them, but not much longer. They went through the health courses that are required, but instead of actually teaching positive sex history, it was abstinence only. I'm like, that is not going to cut it.
Education.
That's not going to cut it.
Because kids are curious, they're going to want to try things out, and if you don't teach them to be safe,
then things are going to happen. And
you're going to have grandkids way too early, for one.
Yeah, and the other thing is...
STDs.
It's not safe. Whereas there's study after study of places that teach about safe sex and all of that. The number of STDs, pregnancies, and premarital sex
drastically falls.
tumble because kids are like, oh, well, they don't need to know. They've been taught it, and I think that is really cool. However, one of the things that in this story, it is something to be aware of throughout the entire series is Eve was abused as a child.
Yes.
And so there is definitely
there are some darker themes. I mean, obviously it's a police procedural kind of story, but this deals with things along the lines of Law and Order SVU.
Very much so.
So just keep that in mind if you decide you want to pick it up. It is definitely not suitable for younger readers.
No.
So don't listen to the audiobook with kids in the car.
No. Especially some scenes. But at the same time, they're entertaining.
Definitely.
And what I like is you can have a conversation about
current events in relation to the novels.
Yeah, so they are definitely a guilty pleasure. Yes. They are fun. You know, I mean, it's sci-fi romance, which is right up my alley. And, you know, they have a place in society. And I think having that outlet is good.
Yes.
So. Very
much so. All right. I hope I'm not jumping the gun now.
No, I think we're good.
We're good. We're good. Okay. So we've kind of talked about some really heavy subjects.
Now let's have some fun.
We're going to jump back to the first novel in the series, which I had already said. A senator's granddaughter is murdered. She was a licensed companion. And so, of course, her case deals with sex and sex workers and murder, and there are some dark themes. But one of the things that makes this book is the cast of characters. So let's go ahead and get started.
Yes, we're casting this book.
Yes. So one of the things that we did is we came up with a list of the main characters in the first book, and then we picked out a couple notable characters that do come in at least the second or third books that are huge to the stories.
They may not be in the first book, but they are just as big a characters.
They're core characters for the entirety of the series once they are introduced.
Yes.
So one thing that we did is we kind of picked a couple different people. At most, we're going to be allowed to go on about one character. If we have multiple casting choices, we get one character to do that with. Other than that, we have to pick one person that we want to play the role.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe at the end we'll discuss it and put it in the description or something. We will ultimately cast this movie out of what we've chosen.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So, I'm a firm believer in PowerPoint. We might put a PowerPoint up.
Who knows? All right, so we're going to start off with our MAG leading lady, Eve Dallas, the kick-ass detective.
Yes.
Who would you pick to play her?
So I had multiple choices, and the thing that I finally was settling on was Colby Smulders. So I love her. She is so kick-ass as Maria Hill in the MCU, Avengers and all of that. But she's also so fun in How I Met Your Mother. So she's got some interesting range, and I think that she is a lot of fun.
So I'm going to call my chip in early and do my first one where I'm going to talk about all three of my choices. I know, I'm starting off with Eve. So my first choice, the one that came to mind very first when I was first listening and reading the books, this was several years ago, Mila Jovovich.
Okay, so Resident Evil.
Yeah, Resident Evil. She's done a lot of action sci-fi stuff in her career.
Fifth Element, classic.
I love that movie. I think that she has it in her to have that physicality, and the only thing that I don't think she could do really would probably be those comedic things, because she's not really a comedian. She's more of a kick-butt actress.
Which is why I went with Colby Smulders, because she could do the comedy and the kick butt.
I've just never seen her do the comedy, so she could. Who knows? I mean, she did in Fifth Element. There were some comedic things. There was. But she just has that energy about her that she could do it. My second pick probably no surprise, Ruby Rose. She has it. She has it in her to play that kick-ass, to have those vulnerable moments, and to really bring that character energy in. So those are my top two. The one that I had a dream about recently, not that kind of dream, hold your horses, Scarlett Johansson.
I love ScarJo. She is fantastic.
She could do it.
She's definitely maturing. I can't wait to see Black Widow.
Oh, I know.
But my first time, so she actually popped on my radar years before Avengers and everything. Lost in Translation she was so good in that. But actually, the one that really made me aware of her was Girl with a Pearl Earring.
Oh yes, that was such a good movie.
So anyway, she's fantastic.
Okay, so those are my three. I think she's in her early to mid 30s. I'm not sure her exact age. That's about the same age as the character who is 29 to 35-ish throughout the series. So I think she might be an interesting choice if we're going main Hollywood. So
yeah.
Let's go next to Rourke, our capable man candy / billionaire, and Bane / love of Eve's life.
Yes. So this was definitely, I have a list of like 10.
Are you calling in your tip?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my first choice, like first Wolverine film is definitely Hugh Jackman. He sings, he dances, he does it all. Yes. But he's just delightful. My next is James Purefoy from A Knight's Tale.
Oh, he was also in The Following.
He played a great guy.
So good in The Following.
But the one that I am actually gonna go with is Chiwetel Ejiofor, because he is beautiful man, and he's got a certain seriousness about him, but he can also have fun. He has a certain intensity about him. The first time I remember seeing him was in Serenity from Firefly, but he had just there was a little bit of a whimsy about him in Love Actually.
Yes.
So those were the two that just made me go, he is.
So one thing to note before I tell you mine is, when we decided we were going to be casting, we came up with the rule that there are no rules. Living, dead, whenever in their career you could pick them to play that role, it's allowed. Now, for my casting choices, I went more towards the descriptions in the book. So mine are going to be kind of bland compared to yours. I know it. But my Rourke, Colin O'Donoghue, who played Hook in Once Upon a Time. Give him a little bit longer hair, those eyes.
Yeah. When he wears the black eyeliner.
Yes, the guy liner. Oh, so nice.
So beautiful.
Him and I think Ruby Rose would have wonderful chemistry.
Oh, that's an interesting pairing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway, that's mine. So, yeah.
Okay, I like it. Okay, so now we're gonna go to Ryan Feeney. He is Eve's ex-partner, but he trained her on everything. He is now the captain of the EDD,
Electronic Detection Division,
and he is just a character, but he's definitely Eve's dad, father figure in that he has become her dad. Really, like, she trusts him implicitly. He is the one that brought her up, helped her get into homicide, and she's the kind of cop. She's the cop she is because of Ryan Feeney.
Exactly. I'll start with this one.
Okay.
My choice, John Goodman.
Okay.
Since he's gotten older, he's lost some weight. He has kind of a little bit of the jowl going on. He just screams, seen it all, still dedicated to his job, but still wants to go home and watch the game, kind of energy.
Definitely. So I have, like, my choices here, and I am just like,
You called in your chip. You only get to pick
I know.
one.
Oh, I know. I know.
We'll be here all day.
I know. I am going with Jim Gaffigan. I love Jim Gaffigan. He is so funny. He's so deadpan. And definitely has dad energy. Obviously he has like 5 kids.
Yeah.
But he's just too fun. I love him. He's one of my favorite comedians.
I can see it.
Okay. Mavis Freestone is Eve's best friend.
Okay. So Mavis Freestone is probably one of my favorite characters. She is a former grifter who was arrested by Eve before she hit homicide and kind of just stuck around. And
Eve couldn't get rid of Mavis.
No. And at this point, they see each other as sisters. They're the one person, no matter what happens, they're there for each other.
They each had really rough upbringings. And
exactly.
They take care of each other in ways that, you know, I think people that have an easier upbringing don't quite understand. Yeah.
I decided Zendaya.
Okay.
One of the things about Mavis that I adore is her extreme tastes when it comes to her profession. She is a singer. And in the beginning of the book, she is a headliner at this dive called the Blue Squirrel. And that's where she's been singing forever. And so there's at one point a scene where she's literally only wearing body paint and tasteful things to cover her goodies. And by tasteful, I mean tiny. And that's kind of her style. She changes her hair like every few days sometimes. And it's just, she has that outlandish style. And I think that Zendaya could do it. She has the ability, especially when she did Malcolm and Marie, I think is what it's called, on Netflix. It's that black and white one that I was telling you about. Where she just has such an amazing and interesting tone in that film that I think she could bring something great to this role.
Okay. I am going with Kate McKinnon. I love Kate McKinnon.
Well, her ability on SNL, man.
She plays every different impersonation that she does is spot on. Her RBG, her HRC, I mean, her Giuliani, each one is so freaking hysterical. I love her. And when she commits, she commits. There is no question about it.
Absolutely. I think that would be an interesting choice.
Yeah.
So let's talk Nadine first.
So she is the crack reporter at
Channel 75?
Channel 75. She is on the crime beat and
so dedicated to her job.
Yes.
To the point where her and Eve kind of butt heads a lot, especially in the beginning.
But they become friends and they rely on each other.
Mm-hmm. And one of the fun things, I'm sorry, we're kind of giving a couple little spoilers here and there. She ends up writing a book, and the very first person she has read her book is Eve.
Yeah, because she wants that feedback from somebody that she trusts.
Mm-hmm.
I have some awesome people on my list, not gonna lie. But I am going with Ming-Na Wen. I mean,
okay,
she is spectacular.
Yes.
Like, from Mulan to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to Mandalorian, and it's just like, oh my gosh. I can't say enough about her.
Yes, I've heard you rhapsodize. I'm gonna say Sasha Alexander.
Okay. So from NCIS.
NCIS, Brazilian Isles. She has that dogged reporter energy to me. And she, like, especially in, like, Brazilian Isles, she's always glossy and put together, and she very rarely has moments where she isn't spot on with her appearance and her comportment. And Nadine has that energy. So I think that would be a good pairing.
Excellent. Okay. So, Charlotte Mira.
Okay, Charlotte is the NYPSD shrink who she is a huge part of Eve's life. One where Eve at the beginning is very reluctant to go see her, especially considering her past. She has repressed it. She doesn't want to think about it. And whenever she sees Mira, she's forced to confront that about herself. And things start to come back from when she was a child. And eventually it gets to that point where Charlotte becomes sort of a mother-like figure to Eve. And she cares so much about Eve. And she actually at one point says that she hopes Eve will think of her in that role.
As kind of a
in
mom.
that way.
As a mother figure.
It's so funny, even her own children, Charlotte's children, one of them is very jealous of Eve because Charlotte treats her like her child in some aspects.
Yeah.
But I love her character.
She's so fun. Okay.
I'm going to say Jane Seymour. She was the first person I ever pictured in the role when I was first starting out in the series. And I think that she could do it because Charlotte is always, what's the word I'm thinking of? Put together. She's on top of things, but she's gentle and soft in a lot of ways.
Jane Seymour has that
classic.
Very classic and classy.
Lady. Yeah. That's kind of where I see Mira. Is very classy, very dedicated, very kind.
Excellent. So, I have a tendency to choose very British actors because
you have a thing about British people.
I do. Apparently I'm a closet Brit. Brit, what do they call them? I can't remember. Anyway, we can cut that. Anglophile. There we go.
You're welcome.
So I am going with Adjoa Ando. I totally butchered her name. But she was Lady Danbury in Bridgerton.
We stan Lady Danbury in this house. I am sorry. If you do not like her, get out.
She was stunning, and I loved her in that.
Yeah, I think my favorite line I've ever heard her say was, I was frightened, so I made myself the most frightening thing in the room. Yeah. And she just radiates that energy, and I can see that would be an amazing choice. Yeah. I'm going to put a pin in our discussion real quick and just say one of the things that I really enjoy about the in-death world is everybody is mixed race, pretty much. All of the suspects are mixed race. All of everybody. That being said, the main cast is kind of white bread. I'm glad to see a lot more diversity, especially in your casting choices, because I didn't. I went by the book. You're taking more initiative with that, and I kind of wish I had. So, anyway, unpin, continue.
Okay. So, Lawrence Somerset. He is the bane of Eve's existence. He is Rourke's major domo / father figure. Like, he's basic, they have a good relationship. And he loves to nitpick at Eve. They are like cats and dogs.
Oil and water.
Yeah, they do not get along. But they have become very protective. Because they're both very protective of Rourke, they start forming a small alliance. And when Eve, as the series goes on, when Eve, if Eve is having a bad day and doesn't snipe at Somerset, he will then go find Rourke and say, "There's something wrong, go fix it."
I love that about him. He's like, Eve sees him as like the crypt keeper, honestly. Yes. I love him because when he became part of Rourke's life, he was coming out of a darker past, and then some huge tragedy happens. I can't say because
it's a big spoiler. We won't do that.
We won't do that to you guys. But it made him see specifically what he wanted for Rourke. Eve is not what he wanted. But at this point, they've come to accept each other. They'll do anything to make sure the other one is safe because they know it's not for them, it's for Rourke. Everything is for Rourke for the two of them when it comes to each other.
Yeah.
But they'll still take care of each other even if they snipe at each other. I am going to choose Charles Dance.
Okay. So Tywin Lannister.
Yes. I'm breaking the rule. I'm sorry. I would have said Christopher Lee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to break the rule. I had to throw another name in there. But Charles Dance has the right energy for that.
Well, like if you think about the first time you meet him in Game of Thrones,
Yes.
he is literally skinning a deer. And he learned how to do that for that film, for that show. And he's really skinning a deer.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Who would you choose?
I am going with Alan Rickman because we stand Alan Rickman too. He is...
Yes. He is one of those actors that no matter what, if the movie's on TV and he's in it, it stays on even if I'm just cleaning my house.
You know, of course, American audiences were first introduced to him as Hans Gruber in Die Hard, which is my favorite Christmas movie, of course.
Yes.
But he is just... He's got a certain energy. And he, sometimes he's a good guy, sometimes he's a bad guy, but whatever he's doing...
He has gravitas.
He does. And I know you threw out an extra name, so
Go for it.
my other one is Patrick Stewart.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that one. Okay. I like that one. Okay. Let's go ahead and talk Jack Whitney. Jack Whitney is the commander of the homicide division of the Cop Central, which is the main precinct in New York. There's only one man for him.
We both agree. This has been, we have dreamcast him. Like, as soon as we said it, we were both just like, there's no one else.
No one else.
Idris Elba.
Delicious man.
Oh, yes.
I would climb that man like a tree. Just saying. Throwing that energy out there.
Just a little bit. Okay, so now we're getting to our bad guy. This is the chief of the NYPSD. He only is in this book.
He gets fired.
Yeah, we're not saying anything you don't know because we're going to talk about his replacement later.
Yes.
But he is a big part of this first book because he
kind of puts his foot in it because like I said, the victim is a senator's granddaughter, and instead of, doing his job as the police chief and keeping all of the information, internal, he allows the senator complete access to the case and to the lead detective. And that just is a bad deal. Bad guy. His name is Edward Simpson, Chief Edward Simpson. And I honestly wanted to punch him in the face. If you could do that with a fictional character, he would be so punched.
Yep. I'm going with another one of my British choices. I'm going Timothy Dalton.
Oh, okay.
Because if you, of course, the first time I saw him was in Flash Gordon as Prince.
One of your favorite films of all time.
It is. Prince Baron. But I love him in Hot Fuzz where he's the bad guy and he smiles and the ding goes off because he's just...
That energy.
Timothy Dalton. What can you go?
Yeah. This is the only one where I did not stick with the book description. There's a reason for that. When I say the name, you're going to be like, oh, okay, yeah. Tilda Swinton.
Oh, yeah, she's
got that androgynous thing going on.
Yeah, well, she's been cross-cast before.
The ancient one?
From Doctor Strange. But yeah, she's definitely got that interesting energy there.
Oh, most definitely. I think that one of my favorite films that Tilda Swinton's been in, not MCU, is probably The Only Lovers Left Alive with Tom Hiddleston. And they play vampires, and just that timeless, ageless energy kind of just works in this particular role.
Okay, I like it. Okay, so now let's talk Senator DeBlas.
Ugh.
He is the bad guy.
I hate senators. I'm sorry. I've never met a good one. I know that they exist somewhere. I just have not.
We're not real thrilled with the ones in the state of Utah.
No, we're not going to go politics. So let's just stick with the world of the book.
Yes.
I'm going to throw out John Malkovich.
I love John Malkovich.
He is now at that age where he could play this role.
He is.
And he has it in him to be that serious, no nonsense, oily politician.
Oh yeah.
I think that he would be a good choice.
Oh yeah. I am going it's 1, 2, 3. I am going Tom Wilkinson.
Oh.
I love him. He is such, again, the British thing. Sometimes he's so sweet in some films, but then the first time I saw him, he played the bad guy in Girl in a Pearl Earring. There's a theme here.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, he's amazing as a bad guy. And he just has that oily, creepy factor happening.
Absolutely.
Of course, then he's, of course, in Carmine Falcone and Batman Begins as well. So
that's true.
I could list many things.
Let's move into Senator DeBlas's right-hand man got his head shoved so far up the senator's butt that if he coughed, the senator would cough. His name is Derek Brockman, and he is just... he's so slick. He thinks he's so slick.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Billy Zane.
Oh, he has that very, especially Titanic.
Oh, yeah. Like, if you don't want to touch him because he's that kind of gicky is the word my grandmother would use, is the word gicky. He could do that. He's played some really interesting characters, especially like when he did his little short arc on Charmed. I loved the character that he was, the redeemed demon, that kind of thing. But I think that he could play this role because he's kind of done it before. Not to this extent, but I think he could do it.
Okay. I'm going with D.B. Sweeney. I mean, we love him from Cutting Edge, but when he was in Jericho, he played such a slime ball that I've seen him play a bad guy, and he's really good at it.
I have to agree with you. Okay, let's do the last one of the main cast. That is Charles Monroe. He is a smooth-talking licensed companion who is a suspect for 3.5 seconds, and he has a kind of a crush on Eve.
Yes.
So, who would you pick to play him?
So, I am going with Gary Carr. Now, he might not be a name that you're familiar with, but if you have ever seen Death in Paradise, he is the young up-and-coming police officer, and there's a certain sweetness about him, and he is very earnest and wants to do a good job, and he has this really soft energy. He's a cop, will do his job, but like he goes above and beyond, but won't let anybody know that he does it. So in that,
I can see that. I can so see that, especially with Charles.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna say Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The Witcher just...
There's something delicious about that.
There's something right there. Yeah.
We're not drooling or anything.
No, not at all. No, he has the right energy to play the licensed companion, to be the beefcake on your arm at an event in society, but he totally could be the dominant one in a relationship, but he has that energy where he will allow the person that he's with to be the initiator, the dominant one, and he's not threatening in any capacity. He could be.
I mean, but Henry Cavill is certainly...
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so that is the main cast of the book. Let's go on to our notable characters. These are the characters who are huge in the series. And let's start with Peabody.
So Delia Peabody she shows up in book 2. She is a huge part of the series. She is starts as Eve's assistant, aide, then becomes her partner. So basically she is Eve's protege. And
she is to Eve what Eve was to Feeny.
Yeah, really, that's a good way to put it. But she's that kind of person that she exudes when she needs to express grief for somebody. She can relate. She's not afraid to show that.
She has that humanity.
But she's also like not soft by any stretch of the imagination.
She has it in her to be. She was raised as a free ager, which is kind of like a hippie /
new
vegan
age
kind of person. Yeah. I'm not knocking vegans in any shape or form. No. I'm just saying she radiates vegan energy.
Right. But she's also a smartass.
She definitely is. In the beginning, she's so scared. She's just terrified of sassing Eve. And then later on, Eve's like, I miss that.
Because she stands up. Mm-hmm. Which is, that sass part is why I chose Kat Dennings.
Okay. I can see it. I love her. Two Broke Girls was one of my favorite shows for a while there. It's very problematic, very crass.
But she was so cute in
WandaVision.
And
Thor. And
I watch a lot of the MCU stuff.
Well, you're going through a phase, so we will just... I mean, you're wearing your Captain America shirt. It is what it is.
Team Cap.
Team Iron Man.
That explains so much.
Right? So for my Peabody, I chose Mae Whitman.
Okay.
She's got that sturdy energy about her, but she radiates, I'm here for you kind of energy. Dedicated, dogged, ready to go down fighting, and I really do enjoy that. I think that she radiates energy for me.
Okay.
Ian McNabb, Peabody's main squeeze, and Feeney's boy, his protege in the electronic detection division. He is described as the fashion plate of the EDD.
Basically, if you were to dress him, it would be like the 80s throw up.
Yeah, except for not so much hair poofage.
No.
It's probably the only non-thing. I'm going to go with Thomas Brody Sangster.
Okay. He definitely has that...
eternal youth thing going on that he has.
Yeah. So I'm going with a young John Oliver. I love John Oliver.
You have an obsession with John Oliver.
I do. And I'm thinking Daily Show John Oliver. Even though don't get me wrong, I watched Last Week Tonight on a religious basis. But when he was in Daily Show, he was just awkward, and he's still awkward, but
it works for him.
It works, and I love John Oliver.
Okay, how about Baxter?
He is basically, he's become Eve's second in command of her division. Kind of described as a fashion plate.
He's a smooth talking detective who is a ladies' man, and he knows that he's got it going on.
Yeah. I'm going with Oded Fair of the movie.
That's cheating?
It can't be cheating.
We didn't put anybody off limits. I know, it's not in the rule book. That's cheating. Because I didn't think of it.
Because he is.
He is, oh God, I'm wearing my cat ears.
Okay.
I have a black cat and I wear these to mock him. What did you tell me? Okay. Anyway, I think the wine's getting to me.
Just a bit.
I'm gonna go with Tom Hardy.
Okay.
He has that
certain suave
energy.
So are we thinking Venom?
Oh,
Mad
totally,
Max? Okay.
Totally Venom.
Okay.
That's what brought him to my attention for sure.
Okay.
I did like Fury Road, but this is it. This is definitely it. All right, let's move on to Troy Trueheart, who becomes Baxter's aide and eventual partner. And he is, with a name like Trueheart, he is the epitome of his name. He is young, green, but not naive. He is so dedicated. He just wants to be a good cop. And he has worked his way up to where he's at now. I'm going to say young Jared Padalecki.
Okay.
Like, first season of Supernatural. Yeah.
Okay.
And then he grew up to be so fine. But we're not going to talk about him anymore.
No.
Your turn.
So mine is, again, another one that you might not be completely familiar with. The first time I saw him was actually, he had like one line in Avengers, but then he got cast in Agent Carter as one of the founding members of S.H.I.E.L.D. And that's Onver Gojak. Again, there's a few people on here that I'm totally butchering their names. But he has especially like that baby face energy. And
I can dig it.
So.
All right, we're going to move on to Chief Harrison Tibble, who ends up replacing Chief Simpson after the first book. And he is, in my favorite expression, a damn fine man. He takes care of his people. He will do everything he can. If his people are doing their job and in the right, he will do everything to support them. Yeah. And I chose Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, yeah. He is, Matrix. Morpheus, yeah. He's good. I have two, and I'm actually changing mine. I am going with Forrest Whitaker.
Oh, okay. I like your choice. I think that they both would do great in that role.
Forrest Whitaker just has that certain je ne sais quoi about him that's...
I can dig it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Leonardo. He is the gentle giant. He falls in love with Mavis.
He's a fashion designer, and what he designs for Mavis is so out there that Eve is afraid of whenever he designs her clothing. But he always tailors it to her style, her body type, that kind of thing. He's just a good designer. And he is the sweetest man. He will literally confess to murder to protect Mavis, even if he didn't do anything. I'm going to say the late Chadwick Boseman.
Oh.
I think he would have done a great job.
Yeah. I am going with Edie Gathegi.
Okay.
From Twilight.
He dreads Laurent.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he has that energy.
I can see it. I like your choice. Okay, next. We're going to talk about the only person that Eve is actually afraid of. This is her personal body and style consultant.
Yes.
She, as soon as she works on Eve, she's like, this is my face. It's your face, but it's mine now. And, she's been known to get revenge when Eve doesn't put the face gunk on. And whenever Eve goes after her hair with scissors, she gets pissed. It's hilarious. I'll let you pick yours first.
I have always seen Leslie Jones from SNL. I love her.
Okay, I see it.
She's just...
I'm going to say Lizzo.
Okay. Did you hear the news? She slipped in Chris Evans' DMs over the weekend, apparently, and has been talking about that. So I was like...
I'm all for it. I love Lizzo. I think she's such a fun artist. And she would definitely bring that energy.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about your favorite character.
So Dennis Mira is Charlotte Mira's husband. He is not dumb. I mean, he's a professor at Columbia. Mm-hmm. Columbia? Yeah, Columbia.
He's a little absent-minded.
A lot absent-minded. But he cares for Eve so much. He was hurting, but saw that it was cold outside and Eve needed a hat, and so she still wears that hat. She is embarrassed by that hat because it is blue, has a snowflake on it.
And he said, "Hang on," and he disappears. And he comes back and he gives her a pair of gloves and a hat. And he sits there and he grabs her hand and he puts it on her
and pulls the
hat. It's like such dad energy. And it's adorable.
And she has a bit of a crush on him, like just like a harmless, crush. He melts her heart, and she doesn't have that very often. No. And I have several people on here, but there's just something about Taika Waititi.
Okay.
He, especially the Rock, what's his name? From Thor Ragnarok. He's,
I started a revolution, but I forgot to tell people.
Pretty much. And that's the energy that Dennis has.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But Taika Waititi in general is just, he bounces, but he also he comes across as sometimes a lot absent-minded. Yes.
I can see that. I can so see that. I chose Jeremy Irons.
Okay. I don't necessarily see him as like
the absent-minded part.
Yeah.
I think he could do it. I love him. I think there's something so comforting about him.
His voice.
I mean, he's done some really awful characters. Yeah. But I think that he just has it.
Okay.
Last thing I want to talk about, just because I think this is fun, is an ongoing issue in the series. And then we'll move on to the next segment. The Candy Thief. Okay, so the Candy Thief is somebody who, when Eve forgets to eat, or she wants to eat her candy, damn it, she just does not want to deal with anybody while she's eating her candy, and she always gets the good chocolate. She goes to great lengths to hide this from her squad members, to the point of taping it inside of her auto shelf, inside the trash, outside of the building, in the ceiling tile with a dye pack. But the Candy Thief thwarts her every time. Who do you think the Candy Thief is?
So, I'm going with somebody who is actually in her squad, because I think they've always, her people trust her, but I think they also want to just get on her skin a little bit. So, okay. I'm going with Baxter.
I can see it. You're going to laugh when I tell you my thought process on this. Okay. There are two things that come to mind from this. One, it's an initiation rite. You have to steal Eve's candy when you join the squad.
Oh, yes. I like that.
Or two, another thing is that the squad members are always making bets with each other. Loser has to steal Eve's candy.
Ooh. So it's her entire squad.
It's her entire squad, plus anybody else who bets. I'm pretty sure Rourke has stolen her candy once.
He's in there all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of where I'm at with the Candy Thief.
Okay, so I think we know it's somebody that she knows and loves to hate.
Absolutely. All of these books, every book in the series is good. They're entertaining, they're fun, they have their funny moments, they have their serious moments. There are some that are horrifying and stick with you, but there are some that just make you laugh the whole way through. And I mean, there's nothing more you can really ask for in this kind of a series that's gone on for so many books.
We're still, we're anxiously waiting for the next one to come out.
Yeah, the last one came out in February. The next one doesn't come out until later this year. And we're just like, okay, Nora.
Anytime now. I think the fact that we are anxiously awaiting the series shows how attached you can become to characters. It's like any other, fandom where you love the characters and you love their growth and you love the challenges that they go through, and you want to know what the next adventure is going to be.
I agree completely, and I think that this is one that I'm probably going to return to many years to come. There's something to be said when you're anticipating a release after something that's been so long and gone on so long. This series has staying power.
Yeah. I've now listened to the entire series twice.
3 times for me. It's a guilty pleasure. It's something, And I've mentioned this on my personal channel several times. I never rate this series critically because there are flaws. Obviously, there are flaws with everything. There are things that I don't agree with, especially with the whitewashing of certain characters and things like that, which I did not help with my casting, but I stuck with the books. Anyway, I think that I lost my train of thought.
There are moments that nothing is perfect.
Exactly.
Everything can be potentially problematic, but they are not so problematic that makes you go, I can't ever enjoy that again, because the series is so engaging and we love the characters. And for me, I've not read the series, I've only ever listened to it, and
it's flipping entertaining.
It is, and I hear the voices, and
thank you, Susan Erickson, you're a gem.
And how she interprets all of the characters, and how, like, I hear them now. They're part of my psyche. And like, if I were to just listen to Susan read a line from each of the characters, I could tell which character it is. There's that.
Absolutely. I think she does such a great job with Tibble and Trina and Rourke and
Peabody.
I think that this has been a kind of a fun video. It's a long one. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. We've gone over a lot of information, but we hope it was engaging. And
we're excited to do more of this. We have a list.
We do definitely have a list. I think that I've missed filming with you.
I missed filming with you too, so.
I love you. Hand hug. Hand hug.
So, mine will be on, I will edit mine. Meg's going to edit hers. They'll be on our respective channels. We'll link.
Yes. We'll cross-link in our descriptions.
Be sure to subscribe to Meg's.
Be sure to subscribe to Tammy's.
And
thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you liked these videos, give them a thumbs up because we love the attention. I'm sorry. Give them a thumbs up. And if you like seeing us talk about books or films, or if you want to go check out our individual channels, they'll be linked down below, so you can go do that. Think of subscribing to our channels, and we will see you in our next video. Bye!